Seems like things have escalated very fast around here. I got no room. It's snowing. Poison spider. Or rotors. Just like that, a couple hours, sun's out, driveway's sanded. Just took Big Black out for a rip. Kind of fun now. I just go out and beat on it a little bit. Tractor. I don't have one. Bought another one. 2004 GMC 4-door. Got studs. Couldn't pass it up. $500. Got strobes. This bed is actually a snowmobile trailer. Guy in town used to do that all the time. Make flatbeds. The hitch. Custom hitch. It's like it's lifted a little bit to me. Oh. Body lift on it. Snowmobile tracks. Mud flaps. She's a little rusty in the floors. The only thing about it is somebody decided they needed that plug. So they cut it off where it was sitting. Not too good. A little rotten in the floor. A lot of trash and stuff left inside. Got a fancy touchscreen radio though. Switches and some Malibu rum. Exactly what I needed. Woo! It's just broken in. 273 on her. You got lights. Check engine, brake, ABS. It's all good. Want to see $300? Right here. The old fish stick. 300 right there. Paid $5 for the whole truck. Light them up. Woo! Got all kinds of strobes going on, boys. $500? Yeah, yeah, I'll take it. Frame has been welded. So I realize I've been a little vague on what's going on with Big Black, the 2010 Silverado, but mainly because I really just kind of sad about it and don't really like talking about it. But a couple of you have asked for a little explanation and a little more detail of what's going on, so let's do it. Long story short, I never wanted a truck that new. 2010, that's pretty new to me. I like old school stuff, as you know, and pretty much always ran old stuff. But this truck was thrown into my lap, and if you've been following along, you know that I got a hell of a deal on it, and I've had it for a few years. But anyway, basically, let me show you what I like. I like old square bodies, but if I got to step into a little bit of modernness, I like at the most these early 2000s GMCs and Chevys because they're reliable and they're just better, in my opinion. Um, they go for many miles. The frames have steel left in them, not like this newer stuff. Not a lot of sensors. So I have upped my collection by getting the 2000 Suburban, and that has the 5.3 and 2000 GMC that we still haven't really talked about on the story on why I got that. But that's the good old 4.8. That's got over 200K, and as you've seen, I just got another one, 2004 GMC 5.3, 273,000 miles, runs perfect. Now, here are things that first I'll say what I don't like about the newer 2010 is the fact that it's just too new. It's got all sorts of sensors that go bad. It's got that AFM, which is active fuel management. It's shutting cylinders down. It's messing with the lifters. It's got a 6 speed. I don't even know. 6L60 or 6L80. I don't know. You correct me on that. I don't really care. All I know is I don't like it. I don't like the way it shifts. And I don't like the fact that you can't even buy a replacement one of these transmissions because the junkyards don't even want to warranty them because they're so bad. And a friend of mine, for his daughter's truck, which was 2012, basically the same thing, spent $5,000 to get a transmission done in that. So anyway, um, I got this truck a few years ago, and just a quick little backstory is the guy, he was thinking about just selling the liftgate. And then he was thinking about selling the truck without the liftgate and this and that. But I ended up looking at it, and he said, if you want the whole thing, how it sits, back rack, lights, liftgate, all this stuff, light bar on the front, just how you see it. The only thing that's different now is I put these crappy wheels and tires that I got from the junkyard, and it had the stock 18s on it, which I burned the tires right off of it, hauling with it. But anyway, so he said $1,500, take the whole truck. And I said, well, that's a deal I can't pass up. So I bought it. And I really did like it, as far as what it was. And I was happy to get it. And very comfortable truck to drive. But in the back of my head, still, I don't like all those things about it. So then one day I went to replace shocks because the ass end was sagging so much, hauling stuff. And when I got under there, I realized that the cross member was broken. Shock was rotted right off of it. And I was the one that held up the fuel tank. So I also noticed that this liftgate here, it weighs about 1,500 pounds or so by itself, I was told. And wasn't supposed to be put on a half-ton truck like this. So what it's doing is it's so much weight back here. It's putting a lot of stress on things, and it's pulled the mounts right off the bed. So I noticed that, and so I ordered a new cross member, and this was maybe a year and a half ago or so. I'm not sure how long it's been, a couple of years maybe. So I got under there, and I said, you know what? The ideal thing to do would be to take the bed off, and that's what most people do the cross members. But I don't want to take the lift gate off because that's just a whole big, huge job. So I did it on my back, and I had my welder turned down all the way, and every time I tried to weld that cross member in, it was just burning through. Now that brings me to another thing that I don't like about these newer trucks, is the fact that the frame is paper thin. I mean, there's a huge difference when you look at a truck in the early 2000s. I mean, look at that frame. You know, huge difference. Paper thin, rusty. Well, every time I tried to weld it, it's just burning right through. So that was aggravating, but I got it done, and I ended up just welding, which you can't see from here because it's down under on the inside, but I just put plates of steel. I welded the bed right to the frame. And another couple years of hauling, 7,000-pound trucks and stuff with this thing down the interstate. It just broke everything apart again. And the shock right now, it's jammed up into the bed, just flopping around. And the bed's pulled off on a few of its mounts again. And also on the inner lip of the frame, it was quite rusty. So while I was under there behind the fuel tank and stuff, of course, I had to pull the fuel tank right out. And then all the lines up at the sending unit were rotted. So I had to replace the whole fuel pump. So that was another bad thing. But I put some pieces of metal on the frame and welded where I could. But it was just a Band-Aid pretty much. So that being said, everything kind of came at once for the thing. Other than that, sometimes when you start it up, it fills the whole yard with smoke. So probably some lifter issues going on that they had. I don't know. There's problems with the oil pressure sensor that keeps going. So started smoking, and pretty much around the same time, this homemade trailer hitch, it's snapped off for the third time, and you know, I was always going to get a regular hitch for it. So when I bought this truck, it belonged to a guy in town that everyone knows, and immediately I said, he said, oh, he took it in to get some service done, and they said that it's getting rusty underneath, but didn't say exactly what. So I said, nah. I looked at it real quick, and I was excited to have the truck. It had ice cold AC, um, and I was just the newest thing I've ever owned. So I was excited about getting it. So immediately I hooked the car trailer up to it, and I just started hauling everything in town. And I was out. I had an F-150 on the back, and it was squatting the thing pretty good. And I was going through town, and the guy who he drives an oil truck, and he saw me, and he called me up, and he said, "Geez, Chris, I don't want to tell no one what to do, but," he said, "I got to tell you," he said, when I got that lift gate installed, he's like, "My son brought it back, and the company that did it," he said, they sent it back, and he said, I looked at it, I said, "There's going to be a problem." He said, "There's no way I can go fishing, tow my fishing boat, no hitch on it." So they said, "Yeah, you take the hitch off, the factory one, and the bumper and the tailgate, obviously, to put that on there. So you gotta order this special hitch, and the right one that works with that gate." So they brought it in the shop, and they ended up. He said, we made that hitch, just a homemade deal to just to tow my small little fishing boat. So he said, "I'm not really sure that you should be towing that heavy trucks and stuff. You better watch out." So I never even really looked at it, but I came home, and I crawled under the truck, and I looked at how they had it mounted, and it was definitely overkill for a fishing boat, but questionable on towing a car trailer with it. So I took some pictures of it, and I sent it to a few people that I know that that are into stuff like that, and get a few opinions, and everyone kind of said, run it. What's the worst that's going to happen?" So I did run it, and one time it snapped off right here. I had a truck on there loaded with scrap, and I was on the back roads heading down to the yard, and I ended up, I had to run ratchet straps, and I cradled up like this, and I came up in, and I tied it into the bed tie downs over the gate. I put like 3 straps after I, jacked it up. Um, and I hauled it in like that. And then the next day I welded it all up there, but there's not much you can really do. So, anyway, that broke again recently. Um, and the bottom line is the frame back there, it's all rusty and paper thin, and there's not enough meat to put a $250 hitch on there that would actually, be what I need. So Now the truck can't even haul the trailer. As far as the liftgate goes, I always dreamt about having a liftgate, but these days it's kind of weird. Well, it's funny, it's how my life goes, that I don't really use it because I don't do much of just scrap like that anymore. Just with the prices, it's the vehicles. But it does come in handy when I need it. Um, Sometimes an old person in town might need, a washer or dryer disposed of or moved, and it's very nice for that, obviously, and it's quick money to do that. But so then, as all that's going on, I went down to towards southern Maine, and I had to pick somebody up at the bus station, and on the interstate, cruise control at 70, the transmission started, and my worst nightmare, that started doing funny things and slipping in and out of overdrive and high gear and doing all sorts of things. So you can kind of see how this happened, and everything sort of happened at once. Um, like I said, these transmissions are known for being terrible, and a lot of problems with them. But also, we got other problems like all kinds of rot. About a year, not even one winter after I owned it, the rocker panels just started just disappearing. So no one locally would even put a sticker on the thing because, first of all, of the rot on the rockers and stuff, but they also know the history of the truck, and it's a small town, so they know it was getting rusty underneath, and they're not big on rust up here in Maine. Funny, where the place where everything rusts and rots. It's where they're the most strict. But anyway, so I think I covered everything. I don't know. I guess you could pretty much get the drift on why I'm at where I'm at on this thing, and the current state of it is get in, you can start it, you can drive it around. Drives around town fine, but as soon as you get into that high gear and overdrive, after a little while, it starts doing something weird. Maybe torque converter. I don't know, and I really don't care. But the sad thing is that at this point, it's probably not gonna be something that I'm gonna want to keep around, and it's definitely not something that I'm gonna fix. So it currently has no inspection sticker on it, but that's around here, small town, no big deal. Um, and I really don't take it out often. Actually, it was just acting as a the hookup. I would hook up to the trailer, and when it snowed, it had four-wheel drive. So I'd pull the trailer up my driveway. It's if you can, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of like a incline. So um, anything that's two-wheel drive gets stuck down here. So that's why everything kind of parks up there. And then I would pull the trailer out with this snow blow, put it back, and that's really all it's been doing. So, and speaking of the four-wheel drive, I was one day I was about an hour away, and on top of the transmission issue, it started flashing all kinds of things on the dash about the four-wheel drive system, and the truck I was completely locked out. I couldn't even drive it. I had to go online on my phone. I was stuck for about an hour, and I figured out how to reset the whole computer and somehow kicked back into two-wheel, and I was able to drive home. But see, those are things that I don't like, and that is why I do not like newer trucks like that, and that's why I never really wanted one. Not to mention, really not crazy about the body styles, but if you can understand that, I didn't like the truck, but I really liked it because of the deal and the fact that, all the good things about it. So if that makes any sense, if not, I don't know what to tell you, but I like these trucks, and so that's what I'm going to run. The only downfall of these is the old, the four-wheel drives. They got the electronic button, which some of them have it, some of them don't. And unfortunately, I got three of them, and they all have that, not the shifter on the floor. So I have parts for these. I have, well, got a 90,000 mile LS motor right there, and I got front differential, and I got transfer case, but that's a shift on the floor. Not sure if it could be swapped in. Anyway, I have a 90,000 mile 4L60 for these, all three of those vehicles in the shed. So on top of that, in my parts hoard upstairs, I have many parts that I have taken off these because we've always had one um, in that era, like the famous 2001 Silverado that we're all sad about getting rid of, the old blue truck. But uh, there you go. So I guess to wrap things up on the black truck, um, not really sure. I know that it's leaving. I know it's not going to be here much longer. The registration is up in April, and definitely not going to renew it. It'll be off the road by then, but can't really decide if I want to part it out or if I want to try to sell it like it is. Take the lift gate off, which I don't even know what's involved in taking that off. I know that it's very heavy and I would need, something to get it off of there. I don't know if I keep it. Is it worth it? Do I put it on something else? Or do I just sell it? And that's a selling point that it has the lift gate. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there that would like to have the truck more than me and they'd like to fix it. I don't know. But, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I want to tell if I was going to sell it, I'd have to tell them all about what's going on with it. So I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. Um, the truck stands me no money. I mean, it's made its money back far, far. So I could just turn it in, take I mean, obviously it'd be ridiculous to send a hydraulic liftgate to the crusher. Even I wouldn't do that. But I mean, realistically, if you look at it right now, the truck owes me no money, so I could just say goodbye. I could sell it outright, real cheap, and it wouldn't really affect anything. Um, there's really nothing else that I would want off it or need off it, other than a few doodads, my strobe light and stuff off the roof, obviously. But there you go, and hopefully you enjoyed the information, found it interesting, and give me your input. You know, leave me a comment. And as always, I do appreciate you checking out my video and sticking with me after all these years. Never know, might see me.